I stood at the bottom of the stairs, still holding the vacuum in one hand and a wet rag in the other, when she said it. Her lips barely moved, like she was too ashamed to say it loud. "Please, don't come to my sister's wedding." My heart didn't drop. It slammed. "Why?" I asked, half laughing. It had to be a joke. We'd been together 7 years. Through her college. Through her surgeries. Through her cheating suspicions, which I'd brushed off too easily. She sighed, looked away like even making eye contact was too much effort. "I don't want people to know you're just a cleaner." My mouth opened, but no words came. I stared at her, Rachel, the woman I once worshipped. Blonde. Sharp-tongued. Eyes like storm clouds when she was angry and ice when she lied. "Excuse me." I finally managed, voice cracking. She crossed her arms. "It's embarrassing, Kyle. You clean offices. Like toilets. Floors." "I own the company," I replied, half defending myself, half still hoping she'd laugh, say it was a prank. She didn't. Instead, Rachel added, cold as steel, "I'll say you're dead. Don't contact me again." I swear, the silence in that moment was louder than anything I've ever heard. She turned on her heels and walked away, heels clicking down the hallway like gunshots. I stood there in my uniform, smelling like disinfectant and lemon polish, my heart bleeding onto the tiled floor. I left the house in tears. Not dramatic, Hollywood sobbing. No. The kind of tears that squeeze out because your soul feels like it's being crushed between someone's fingers. The morning of the wedding, I didn't move from the couch. I didn't even get up to eat. I stared at the ceiling, wondering what lie she'd tell next. Maybe I was a criminal. Maybe I hit her. Maybe I'd disappeared. I had no idea what kind of story she'd built about me in her fake world. And then my phone started ringing. One call, then another, and another. Within minutes, I had 20 missed calls. Rachel, her sister, Amanda, her cousin Sarah, even her uncle, the one who got drunk at Thanksgiving and told war stories no one believed. Something happened. Something big. And then the texts came. "Kyle, where are you? Answer the phone, man. What did you do to her?" I sat up, heart pounding. What the hell? Then a picture popped up. Sent from Amanda. It was blurry, but I saw it. Rachel, in her bridesmaid dress, hair done up, lipstick perfect, and lips locked with someone who wasn't me. She wasn't kissing him like a mistake. It wasn't an oops my lips slipped kind of thing. No. This was deep, passionate, needy. One hand was on his neck, the other around his waist. His hand? On her ass. It was her ex-boyfriend. Chad. Of course it was Chad. The same guy she swore was just a friend, the one she hadn't seen in years. The one I caught texting her at 2 a.m. with a damn heart emoji. The one she claimed was getting married soon, so there was nothing between them. And now they were eating each other's faces in the middle of her sister's wedding, while she told everyone I was dead. I threw my phone across the room, but I picked it back up. Because the next call, the one that finally broke me, was from Amanda. "Dude," she whispered, like she was hiding in a closet, "Rachel told everyone you were dead. Like, car accident last year. We thought it was real." And then she showed up with Chad and said he helped her through her grief. My head spun. "She's been lying for over a year?" Amanda continued, her voice trembling. "We're at the reception. People are screaming. My mom fainted. Rachel's locked herself in the bathroom, crying that you faked your death to ruin her day." I couldn't even speak. I stared at the wall, mouth open, hands trembling. Rachel didn't just betray me. She erased me, lied to her entire family, pretended I died just so she could screw her ex in peace and parade him around like her savior. And now? Now she was the victim? I got dressed. Black jeans. Hoodie. No suit. No flowers. No fake smiles. If Rachel wanted to bury me, if she wanted to kill who I was, then it was time I showed up like a damn ghost. I drove like a man possessed. Didn't even remember the turns I made, just the sound of my own breathing and the rage boiling behind my ribs. My hands were clenched so tight on the steering wheel, my knuckles went white. I wasn't thinking about what I'd say. I didn't care about being calm or rational or what anyone would think. I just needed to see her, face to face. I pulled into the parking lot of the reception hall. The place was still packed. A few people stood outside, talking in hushed voices. I recognized Rachel's cousin Devin, smoking a cigarette like he was witnessing a crime scene. He saw me and blinked like he'd seen a ghost. I didn't stop. Just walked past him, through the front doors. The moment I stepped inside, the music was still playing soft jazz, but no one was dancing. People stood around in awkward clusters. You could feel the tension hanging in the air, like a thunderstorm ready to crack the sky open. Then someone gasped. "Oh my God," a woman whispered. A man dropped his glass. All heads turned toward me. I scanned the crowd, my heart beating so loud I could feel it in my ears. And there she was, in the far corner, eyes red from crying, makeup smeared like she'd tried to rub off the guilt. She was surrounded by a few relatives, all looking like they didn't know whether to comfort her or throw something at her. Rachel saw me. Her face changed like a glitch in a computer program. First shock, then fear, then pure venom. She marched toward me, heels clacking like they did that morning, only now they sounded like war drums. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed, grabbing my arm. I pulled it free. "I'm dead, remember?" A few people gasped. Someone behind me said, "Jesus Christ." She stepped back, visibly shaking. "You don't understand. I had to lie," I said. "Had to say I died so you could bring your boy toy and play the grieving widow? Tell me, Rachel, what part don't I understand?" She turned, probably realizing the room had gone silent. Her sister Amanda was at the bar, glaring at her like she wanted to throw a bottle. Rachel looked back at me, eyes wide now, panic building. "You embarrassed me," she spat. "You're a janitor, Kyle. A janitor. You think I wanted to show up here and have everyone ask, 'Oh, what does your husband do?' I built my own company. You mop floors. And I never lied about who I was. You lied about everything." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. Don't act like some wounded little puppy. You were boring. You came home tired. You talked about cleaning chemicals and dirty carpets. Chad listens. Chad understands me." "Chad," I repeated, taking a step forward. "You said he was just a friend. Just someone you bumped into once in a while. You swore nothing ever happened." Her mouth curled. I lied. Obviously. A murmur ran through the crowd. "And you weren't even good in bed," she added with a twisted smile, loud enough for everyone to hear. Chad actually makes me feel like a woman. My stomach dropped. That was the punch. The twist of the knife. But I didn't flinch. Instead, I looked around the room, looked at the faces, some sympathetic, some disgusted. Even Chad, standing awkwardly behind a table, didn't look like he wanted to be there anymore. I stepped closer to Rachel. She didn't back away. "Tell me something," I said, quieter now. "When you looked at yourself in the mirror this morning, all dressed up, knowing you lied to everyone you love, did you feel proud? Did you look in that mirror and think, 'I'm doing great'?" She didn't answer, just blinked. "Because I did," I continued. "When I looked at myself this morning, I saw someone who worked hard, who loved a woman who didn't deserve it, who gave everything and expected honesty in return. And what did I get?" Her lip trembled. "You told your family I was dead, Rachel." Then she slapped me. It was fast, hard, loud enough to echo. I didn't move, didn't say a word. She turned on her heel and stormed out of the room. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Her mother walked up to me, tears in her eyes. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Amanda hugged me. Sarah did too. One by one, people came up, apologized, said they had no idea. But I didn't care. Because the woman I'd built my life with just ripped it apart in front of everyone. And all I could think was, what else has she lied about? And what the hell do I do now? I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Instead, I drove around for hours, the city lights blurring through my windshield, like the world was crying with me. I parked near a lake we used to visit back when things were still good, back when she'd grab my hand for no reason, when she'd laugh at my dumb jokes and kiss me in public without shame, back when I still believed every word that came out of her mouth. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the water. The silence felt different now, heavier. And somewhere between midnight and dawn, it hit me, she'd been planning this for a long time. You don't just wake up one morning and decide your husband's dead. You don't erase a person overnight. She'd laid the groundwork. Slowly, carefully, probably while lying next to me in bed, while I made her coffee, while I rubbed her feet after work. Every sweet moment we had, it was fuel for her performance, evidence for the family about what a loving widow she was. I was just a prop in her story. And Chad? That smug prick? I started replaying every little moment. Every time she smiled at her phone and said, "It's just Amanda." Every sudden night out with the girls. Every trip where she came back wearing perfume she didn't leave with. I was a joke. A background character in her soap opera. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Chad. "You didn't have to make a scene, man. She was already leaving you." I stared at the screen, my jaw tight. The arrogance. The disrespect. I wanted to throw the phone into the lake. Or drive straight to his condo and out. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew it wasn't about Chad. It was her. The lies, the manipulation, the pure disgust in her voice when she looked at me like I was beneath her. Like she had the right to shame me for doing honest work, for building something from the ground up while she played dress-up in her fantasies. And the craziest part? She still had power over me. Over my mind. I could feel it, like a toxin I couldn't flush out. In the morning, I finally drove home. The house felt colder than usual. Her things were still there, perfume on the dresser, a half-folded dress on the chair. I could still smell her. Like betrayal had a scent now. I sat at the kitchen table and just stared at the spot where she usually scrolled through her phone every morning, drinking almond milk lattes and ignoring me. That same table where we'd planned vacations. Where she once told me she wanted kids. Where she cried when her dog died and I held her until she fell asleep. I saw the note before I even touched it. Right in the middle of the table, in her handwriting. You ruined everything. I hope you're proud. I loved you once, but you became small. I needed more. Don't contact me again. R. No apology. No explanation. Just blame. Even now, after everything she did, I was the villain in her story. I laughed. Actually laughed. A dry, bitter laugh that felt like it had been stuck in my chest for months. That was it. That was the moment I felt something shift in me. Like a chain snapped. I wasn't going to be her background character anymore. Not her dead husband. Not the cleaner she was ashamed of. I was done being part of her fiction. I got up. Started packing her things into boxes, not angrily, not violently. Just methodically. One item at a time. Her dresses. Her heels. Her collection of fake designer bags. I didn't even break anything. That would have meant she got under my skin again. By noon, her stuff was by the door. I texted her. Your things are ready. Have someone pick them up. Don't come inside. No response. Not that I expected one. I knew her. She'd play victim. Cry to her friends. Maybe even tell them I'd threatened her. I could already hear it in my head. He scared me. He yelled. He was so jealous. But I didn't care anymore. I just sat on the couch, alone in the silence. And for the first time since the wedding lie, I didn't feel like the world was ending. I felt like it was just beginning. Because when someone tries to bury you alive and you crawl back out, you come back a different man. And Rachel? She just made me reborn. A few days passed. Her stuff was still there by the door. No one came. Not Chad, not a courier, not even a petty text from her. Just silence. And for someone like Rachel, silence was either her way of punishing or her way of plotting. I didn't know which was worse. I started sleeping on the couch. Not because I couldn't handle the bed. We'd barely touched each other there for months anyway, but because the air in that bedroom felt fake. Like the sheets still held her lies. Her perfume. Her moans that probably never even belonged to me. I kept thinking back. Wondering when exactly she stopped loving me, if she ever did at all. I used to believe in her. Every time she looked me in the eyes and said she was tired, I bought it. When she said she was at yoga, I believed it. When she came home flushed and breathless and said she'd just been running errands, I kissed her forehead and made her tea. God, I was blind. But then something unexpected happened. One night around 10, just as I was finishing a beer on the back porch, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. I swiped up and said nothing, just waited. A familiar voice, soft and cracking, broke the silence. Kyle. Amanda. Hey, I said, already feeling the tension in my shoulders. I'm sorry to call so late, she whispered. But you need to know something. It's bad. I sat up. Worse than being declared dead? She didn't laugh. It wasn't just Chad. My stomach turned. There were others, she said carefully. I found out from one of her friends. I guess they used to joke about it behind your back. That you were too clean for her. She liked danger. Liked the thrill. I said nothing. My pulse thudded in my ears. She even hooked up with one of the groomsmen before the wedding, Amanda added, her voice barely audible. And that guy wasn't even sober. I closed my eyes. Just breathed. One long inhale. One slow exhale. If I reacted the way my blood wanted to, I'd destroy something. But I didn't. I clenched my jaw until it hurt. I didn't call to hurt you, Amanda said quickly. I called because I know she'll twist it all. She already posted on her story that you showed up uninvited and caused a scene. She's saying you tried to ruin her life. That you're unstable. I chuckled bitterly. Of course she is. Just be careful, okay? She's telling people you were abusive. I sat in silence. That word. Abusive. It hit me like a slap. Rachel had taken everything from me: love, trust, dignity, and now she was trying to rewrite the ending. She wasn't content with betraying me. No, she had to paint me as the monster too. And somehow, that hurt more than all the cheating. We ended the call. Amanda sounded exhausted, torn between family loyalty and her conscience. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I pulled out an old flash drive from my desk drawer, one I hadn't touched in years. It had security camera footage from our office, from when I installed cameras to prevent staff theft. I never used it for anything personal, never snooped, but something had always nagged at me. Rachel used to visit me at work. Said it made her feel connected. She'd stop by, bring coffee, kiss me in the hallway. Except, there were a few times I remembered something strange. Like the time she said she left early, but my coworker mentioned seeing her go into the storage room with someone. I clicked through the footage. Weeks worth. And then I saw it. Her. In my office. With a man. Not Chad. Some guy in a leather jacket, probably 5 or 6 years younger. They were close. Too close. She was sitting on my desk, legs wrapped around his waist. Their mouths locked. His hands roamed like they were in a damn motel, not my workplace. I felt nothing at first. Just watched. Watched her push her wedding ring off mid-makeout. Watched her lean into him like she belonged there. Then the anger came. Not loud. Not explosive. Cold. Still. The kind of anger that doesn't scream. It decides. She thought I was nothing. That I'd just vanish. That her web of lies would keep spinning forever and I'd stay tangled inside. But she made one mistake. She forgot I'm not the man she thought I was. She built her fantasy on top of me. Burned me alive in it. Buried me. And now? Now I was ready to come back from the grave. I started planning the next morning. Not revenge. That's not what this was. Revenge is emotional. Sloppy. This was about clarity. About finally peeling off the layers of manipulation she'd wrapped around me for years. I wasn't going to shout or beg or cry anymore. I'd already done all that. I was going to make sure the truth stood tall while her lies crumbled under it. I began documenting everything. The footage. Screenshots of her messages. Her, "You ruined everything" note. I saved Amanda's voicemail. I printed everything out and organized it, like a lawyer building a case. If she wanted to tell the world I was abusive, unstable, dangerous, fine. But I wasn't going to sit back while she destroyed what little dignity I had left. And then I got a message that nearly made my hand shake. It was from her mom. "Kyle, I need to talk to you. Please. Call me." I debated it for an hour. This woman once hugged me like a son, baked me cookies on my birthday, defended me when Rachel complained about my boring job. But after the wedding, she hadn't said a word. I finally called. She answered immediately. Her voice was different, worn out, like she'd aged years in just a few days. "I'm so sorry," she said, before I could even speak. "For everything. I didn't know. I didn't want to believe she could do this." I waited. "She came home last night, drunk," she continued. "Screaming about you. Said you humiliated her. Said Chad left her because of what happened at the wedding. Said you poisoned everyone against her." I swallowed hard. "So he left." "He did," she confirmed. "Apparently he found out she was seeing other people while with him too. Even he couldn't keep up with her lies." There it was. The final crack in the perfect mask. "She's spiraling," her mom whispered. "She's been drinking, lashing out, blaming everyone. I think she's trying to get back at you. But, Kyle, she's dangerous now. To herself, maybe even to you." "I know," I said softly. "She said she might show up at your place." Of course. The minute her fantasy collapsed, she'd come crawling back to the only place that ever gave her stability, me. Not out of love, but because she needed somewhere to hide when the truth started slapping her across the face. That night, I installed a camera at my front door. I wasn't taking chances. And then, 2 days later, she showed up. It was around 11 p.m. I'd just gotten out of the shower when I heard banging on the door. Loud. Aggressive. I checked the feed. It was her. Hair wild. Mascara smudged. Dressed in some too-tight black dress she'd probably worn to impress someone else. I didn't open it. She screamed through the door. "You coward. Open the damn door, Kyle. You ruined my ****ing life." I stood still, just watching her through the peephole. Her voice cracked mid-sentence, and then she sobbed. Full-on sobbed. The kind of crying that used to tear me apart. Used to make me forgive everything. But now? Now I saw it for what it was. Performance. Manipulation. Desperation. "I loved you," she cried. I just I didn't know how to stop. I didn't mean to hurt you. I made mistakes, okay? But we can fix it. I leaned my head against the door, closed my eyes, and whispered, "You declared me dead, Rachel." Silence. Then footsteps. Fading. A car door. And she was gone. For good? I didn't know. But for now, I was left with peace. A strange, raw kind of peace. The kind that doesn't feel good right away, but promises something better on the other side. I went back to the couch and sat in the dark, phone in hand. Then I pressed upload. A private YouTube link. Titled, "The Truth She Tried to Bury." It wasn't public. Not yet. But it was ready. The footage. The texts. Her words. Her betrayal. Because if she tried to ruin my name again, I wasn't going to argue. I was just going to press publish. A week went by. No more calls. No more banging at the door. No dramatic texts. Nothing. The silence felt different now, not heavy like before, not like grief. More like the quiet after a storm, when the wreckage is still all around, but at least the wind stopped screaming in your ears. I could breathe. I could think. I was starting to feel like myself again. But just as I started letting my guard down, the next wave hit. It came through my work email. Not my personal one. My work email, the one I only use for managing contracts, staff schedules, business meetings. Subject line, Re. Kyle Mitchell, internal investigation. At first, I thought it was spam. Some scam or phishing trap. But then I saw the sender. It was from a corporate client. One of her biggest. We just signed a deal to clean several of their office buildings. I clicked. Kyle, it's come to our attention that serious allegations have been made regarding your behavior and conduct outside of business hours. Out of an abundance of caution, we are pausing all work scheduled with your company until this matter is resolved. We appreciate your understanding. I froze. Serious allegations. No explanation. I scrolled down, found the attached report. Just one screenshot. A Reddit post. Anonymous. Title, "Don't hire this man. My sister's ex-abusive. Unstable. Dangerous." And then paragraph after paragraph of Rachel's poison. She didn't use my name directly, but anyone with eyes could connect the dots. The timeline. The job title. The wedding drama. It was her. No question. She hadn't given up. She'd gone nuclear. If she couldn't control me directly, she'd try to destroy me from the shadows. I sat back, eyes burning. I thought about all the hours I spent building this company. Cleaning until 2 a.m., lugging vacuums up stairwells, handling staff emergencies, juggling invoices and late payments, all of it, just to become someone respectable, someone solid. And now, it could all go up in smoke because a bitter woman couldn't stand the fact that I survived her betrayal. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I stood up, grabbed the flash drive, and walked out. Amanda met me at a diner that afternoon. She was nervous, glancing around like she expected Rachel to jump out from under the table. I slid the flash drive across to her. "What is this?" she asked. "Everything." She looked at it, then at me. "She's trying to ruin my business," I said quietly. "She's trying to destroy everything I built. I'm not fighting her with emotions anymore. I'm fighting her with facts." Amanda hesitated. "You really want to do this?" I nodded. "I'm not publishing it. Not unless I have to. But if she keeps pushing, I want her to know I'm not scared of her anymore." Amanda took the drive. "I'll keep it safe." That night, I wrote her one final message. Not on text. Not by voice. I sent her an email. "Rachel, I know what you're doing. I've seen the posts. The calls. The lies. I won't respond again after this. If you continue to interfere with my life or business, I will respond publicly with everything I have. All of it. I'm not the man you erased. I'm the one who came back. Kyle." I had sinned. Blocked her everywhere. That was it. The last thread cut. She didn't reply. But I know she read it. You can feel that sort of thing, deep in your gut, like a storm shifting direction. She knew I wasn't playing anymore. And me? I slept better that night than I had in years. A month passed. I didn't hear from her again. No surprise calls. No surprise posts. No new whispers in the industry. Just silence. My business recovered, slowly. The client that paused our contract eventually circled back. I explained the situation professionally, showed enough without dragging myself through the mud. They respected it. Reinstated the deal. It was like the universe had been holding its breath with me, and finally, it exhaled. But something strange started happening. I began to feel lonely again. Not the kind of loneliness that begs for someone else's touch. It wasn't about needing a woman. It was deeper. It was the quiet realization that, for years, I built my life around her. Her needs, her moods, her lies. I knew her better than I knew myself. And now that space was just hollow. I'd wake up and forget she wasn't beside me. I'd see something funny and reach for my phone to text her before I remembered she was the reason I barely recognized myself. It's not that I missed Rachel. I missed the version of her I believed in. That illusion. That hope. That soft smile she gave when she needed something. The way she kissed me after arguments like she was sealing her lies with her lips. It had all been theater. And I was front row, clapping like an idiot. I tried dating again. Once. Met a woman named Taylor at a cafe. She laughed at my jokes, asked about my company, said it was refreshing to meet a guy who didn't wear a suit. But when I mentioned my ex, even just in passing, she tilted her head and said, "Oh, one of those stories." And I realized I wasn't ready. Not because I still loved Rachel, but because I still hated her. I still carried that rot in my chest. That night, I went back to the lake. Same bench. Same view. But this time, I brought a small metal box with me. Inside, I placed a photo of us from our wedding day. Her note, "You ruined everything." A flash drive with the footage. And her wedding ring. She'd left it on the bathroom sink the night she packed her things and stormed out. I lit the whole thing on fire. Watched it burn until the flames turned blue and the metal curled in on itself like it couldn't bear to hold her memory any longer. And as the ashes drifted into the lake, I whispered out loud, "I forgive you." Not for her. For me. Because I couldn't carry it anymore. Not the hate. Not the betrayal. Not the question of why wasn't I enough? That was her sickness. Not mine. And then, as if the universe needed a punchline, my phone buzzed. A new number. A message. "I heard what you did. You think you're better than me now? Good luck. You'll always be just the cleaner." I smiled. Didn't respond. Deleted it. And walked away from the lake. 6 months later, I stood in the lobby of a new client's building, 20 floors of glass and steel. High-end, high traffic, high stakes. The kind of place Rachel used to dream of working in, not realizing I'd one day be the one signing the contract to maintain it. The guy I was meeting, head of operations, shook my hand firmly and said, "We've heard good things, Kyle. Clean, efficient, reliable. That's what we need." I smiled. Not just because of the deal, but because those 3 words used to feel like insults when Rachel said them. Clean, efficient, reliable. Like I was some soulless appliance she could leave running in the background while she went out and played dress-up in other men's beds. No, those words were my armor. My standard. My name. After the meeting, I stepped outside and looked up at the building, my company's logo already being installed at the bottom corner of the glass entrance. Small, but there. Proof that no matter what she tried to erase, I rebuilt myself louder. Rachel never showed up again. From what Amanda told me, she tried moving in with Chad again, but he caught her lying within the first 2 weeks. Then she bounced around, fell out with most of her friends, burned bridges like she was born to it. Eventually, she dropped off social media. Just vanished. I didn't follow up. I didn't care. Because by then, I was too busy living. I moved out of the old house, the one we used to share, and into a new place, smaller but warmer. I started painting again. Dumb little landscapes that made no sense but made me feel human. I fixed my relationship with my parents. Started going to the gym. Walked more. Talked more. Smiled more. And I stopped flinching at the sound of high heels. People ask me sometimes if I'd ever take her back. If I'd forgive her for real. If she ever apologized, would I listen? And I say the same thing every time. She killed me. Not physically. But she ended a version of me I'll never get back. But sometimes, death is the best thing that can happen to a man. Because when I died, I stopped being hers. And when I came back, I belonged to no one but myself. So if you're reading this, and you've been lied to, broken down, dragged through the mud by someone who swore they loved you, listen to me. Let them bury you. Let them throw dirt on your name. Then stand up, wipe it off, and build something out of the grave they dug for you. Because the best revenge isn't fire or rage or even truth. The best revenge is still being here, still standing, still you.